the last video ended with number 2, which puts us at number 3. So in this scenario, I actually just gave you 2 points. I did not tell you the slope in this problem, and that's okay. The first thing I like to do out of good habit is label my points x1, y1, x2, y2, and it's kind of misleading. A lot of kids think you have to say x1, y1. You can say x100, y100. It doesn't matter. I just need these numbers to be the same. So if you want to go with x sub 50, that's fine, but you have to do y sub 50 as well. So in my formula, I want to take my y values and subtract them. So whether you do 10 minus negative 2 or negative 2 minus 10, it doesn't matter. Alright, but if you're going to follow the 10 minus negative 2, it looks like you're doing the 2's minus the 1's. You must keep that same order when you subtract your x values. So in this case, I'd have to do 6 minus 4. If you do the 1 minus the 2's, then do the 1's minus the 2's again. What you don't want to do is shuffle your orders. That's what's going to mess you up. So on top, I'm going to get 12, and on the bottom, I'm going to get 2. So it looks like my slope is 6. And you'd find out that if you did it this way, you would get negative 12 over negative 2, which is still 6. So either way you do it, you get your slope of 6. So at this point, you need to realize that you know the slope. Okay, that was huge. That was needed to do this problem. And you actually have 2 points that you can choose from. So you can pick the 4, negative 2, or you can pick the 6, 10. What you can't do is pick 4 and 10. They have to actually be a point on the line. So I like positive numbers. I'm going to go with the positive values. So I know I have a slope of 6, and the point 6, 10 is on my line, and that is enough to set up point slope form. So here we go. Y minus my y value, which is 10, equals my slope times the quantity x minus my x value, which is 6. Right, so that's point slope form. All done. You want to turn it into slope-intercept form. We're going to distribute the 6, which gets us 6x minus 36. I'm also going to be adding the 10, and I can do these 2 steps in my head. A lot of people can, so I'm not going to write it down, but I know that negative 36 plus 10 is negative 26. All right, now I'm going to be super duper lazy. I am not going to subtract 6x from this side. I want the 6 to stay positive, because standard form wants my x value is positive. So rather, I'm going to move the y and move the 26. So here's how that works. If y is positive over here, that means it's negative over here. And if 26 is negative on this side, that means it's positive on the opposite side. And technically, if I want to finish it, I should write 6x minus y equals 26. So those are the exact same statement, just flip.
In the last example, we're given an x-intercept and a y-intercept. So if you notice, we don't have a slope again, and usually that indicates that we have to compute it, but it might be a little confusing because there's only 2 numbers here. And what we have to remember is intercepts are actually points. So x-intercept means negative 1, 0, where a y-intercept actually means 0, 4. So we kind of have to know that in the back of our head that they are actually ordered pairs. So if we want to go ahead and compute the slope, we're going to do 4 minus 0 and get 4. 0 minus negative 1 and get 1, so your slope is 4. Now the good news is, since you know the y-intercept, you can actually revert to the slope-intercept form. So I'm going to stick 4 in for my slope and 4 in for the y-intercept. And so I'd be done with that. If I wanted to go ahead and make point slope form, I definitely have more than enough information. I can write y minus, and I can pick either this ordered pair or this one. Doesn't matter. I will pick the 0, 4. So the y value of that ordered pair is 4 equals 4 times the quantity of x minus the x value at that spot of 0. So we have our slope-intercept, point slope, and then if we want standard form, I'm going to take my slope-intercept form, and I'm going to be a little bit lazy. I'm going to subtract y to get it onto the right side, and I'm also going to subtract the 4 to get it onto the left side, and then I'll just kind of rewrite that as 4x minus y equals negative 4. So we have an example of an application problem. It says the graph shows the distance of an asteroid that travels in x seconds. Write an equation of a line, interpret the slope. The asteroid came within 17,200 miles of the Earth in February. Okay, so a lot of information here. What we need to take away is x would be your seconds, right? You can see that on the x-axis, and y is your distance. Right, so the first thing they're doing is asking you to write a linear equation. So we have to figure out what kind of case we have. So we can either use the point 0, 0 and 524, and we can do this problem just like the one before. That's actually not necessary because I see that the y-intercept is 0, so I know b is 0, and I can actually just count the slope. So it's definitely going to go up 24 and to the right 5. So my slope is just 24/5. So if I have that information, I can just go ahead and use slope-intercept form. So y equals 24/5 x. I'm not going to write plus 0 because that doesn't change anything. All right, so we wrote the equation of a line. Next, it wants you to interpret the slope. That means use the words with the numbers. So it's 24/5. Is that 24 seconds or 24 miles? Oh, okay. So it looks like it is traveling 24 miles every 5 seconds. All right, so we interpreted the slope. Last but not least, if they're giving you a value, that means they either want you to substitute that value in for x or y, and since y is distance, we're going to plug it in for y. 17,200 equals 24/5 x. Right. If I want to remove this fraction, I have to multiply by its reciprocal, which is going to get me 3,583 and 1/3 seconds. So we're basically going to do the exact same thing just to see if it really sunk in. All right, so we are comparing the balance of a car loan after a certain amount of payments, right? So it wants you to write the equation, interpret the slope and the y-intercept, and then solve the problem if you know that there's 36 payments. Okay, so not bad. So I can definitely see the y-intercept is 18. That's really nice. So it looks like we're going to go down 3 and to the right 10. All right. And then I can go ahead and write my equation. Y equals -3/10 x plus 18. All right. Again, interpret slope. That just means put words with your numbers and your slope. So it looks like the balance is going down 3,000, right? Not 3, on our balance, because that's talking about balance. Looks like every 10 payments. And that's interpreting the slope. The y-intercept is 18, so 18 what? Oh, $18,000. So that means your starting balance was $18,000. All right, last thing. We need to know what to do with 36 payments. Well, x-axis is the number of payments, so I guess that means I plug it in for x. So if we go ahead and we compute all that out, we're going to get y equals 7.2. Now you have to think about what that means, right? Y is the balance on your loan. So it's not $7.2. You have to remember we're working in terms of thousands. So we'd actually have to move this over 3 decimal places. So the new balance will be $7,200. In the next video, I'll go ahead and continue on with the following examples. So whenever you're ready, feel free to exit and click.